good morning. Good morning to us all from here in Kampala. It is a Thursday morning right here in Kampala, Uganda. We come to you live from Youths Media. This is Behold Africa. I say hello to you all. Hello Africa. Hello the world at large. I once welcome you to Behold Africa. I am your host, Jude Klein, and my co-host
Now show Brenda. Good morning Africa, good morning everybody watching us live here in Kampala. As usual, exactly 7, bringing you the news that are happening all over the world, in Africa, and also those trending stories on the social media platform. Don't forget, Behold Africa is brought to you by the Fundamental Rights and Protection, who say rights matter and they're there to protect them for you. As you're watching, please share the link for others also to follow and get engaged in today's discussion.
Now, if you're in Kampala, it is a chilly morning, it threatened to rain earlier in the morning. So if you've not yet gone to work, you're not yet sure, but just in case, please do carry a jacket, do carry a jumper or something like that, because as you know, of recent, the weather has been very, very unpredictable. So just carry a jumper for those sort of emergencies where you don't have to get wet or something like that. If you work already, I hope you've tuned in to Behold Africa, because we have a lot in store for you. We have a lot that we're going to cover about, and we have a lot I would like to engage with you. Now, for those of you who are just heading to work, coming from let's say Nakawa, coming from Impelere, coming from all sorts of the country and entering into the city, it's a Thursday. Usually the jam is a little bit mild, but specifically for those people who are coming from Waise, Kalerwe, heading into the city through Kubiri, there is installation of traffic cameras that is going on there, so the traffic jam is probably going to be a little slower than usual. So probably you're advised to use several alternative routes that lead into the city other than that one, because you might take a long time while you're there.
Well, as they're also they're aware of that, they shouldn't forget that COVID is still around with us. Please follow the SOPs, don't leave them. However much the cases have reduced, but we are all aware that we have the new Omicron. Yesterday we gave you a story that Uganda managed to discover their first 9 cases of the new Omicron variant that is going on. If you have not heard about it, we have been covering that story, the Omicron that came in from South Africa. So for those who are taking it lightly and you didn't know that this is existing and you're saying no, you are relaxing, but please, just we all aware that the president say that come 2022 in January, the economy is going to open up. But now, if you become reluctant and you don't follow the SOPs, who knows what may happen? So you just have to be rigorous. And also, don't forget that we are just one step, like 2 weeks. 2 weeks remaining to Christmas. Yeah. How are you preparing for it? What is your New Year resolution? Because we all know the New Year is just on that desktop, and you just have to get ready for it. You want to say something?
Yeah, sure thing. About you spoke about Christmas, and I remembered something. With the transport fares hiking. Yesterday I was seeing link bus transportation. These guys go to western part of Uganda. They're actually being dragged through the mud for hiking their transport fares for about 30% increment. So usually it was like 35 from here to Mbarara, but now it has gone up to 45. That's close to 50.
It's around 50.
Yeah. So for those of you who are traveling for the season, for the celebrations, what are you doing? How are you going about the issue of transportation?
How have they planned their journey?
How have you planned the journey? Are you driving? But if you're driving, be sure to know that the fuel prices have gone up. And at the same time, if you're taking the buses, or one amongst the many means of transport that we have, are you prepared to cover those costs? This is what is going on here in Uganda and other countries. But yes, the festive season is upon us.
Yeah,
we have to celebrate. we have.
No, you have to celebrate. What just say you have to celebrate. We have to eat. We have to enjoy. You have to do everything that is funful. But as you're doing so, please don't forget tomorrow is also there. You need to. There are those who say no, we are eating to. Don't eat yourself to death, because we all the reason why you're celebrating because you're still alive and you're jubilating for your life and even the past experiences you have been going through and you have managed to maneuver them. But now if you lose your life just in one day, then that's not I would say it's not wise. So you just have to leave it. As you have been protecting yourself, have you have been very vigilant the whole year, then let it not end on that day.
Yes, and as Brenda is saying, that is very true. Enjoy, but enjoy responsibly. We always tell you this. I mean, it's not a cry, but it's something I would like to advise you. Enjoy, but enjoy responsibly. These are some of the stories that we're going to be covering here and there, in and around Uganda and around Africa and the world at large. So, I know you've been waiting for a lot. Let's dive into some of these stories.
Well, straight away we go into our stories of the day, and we begin with Uganda here. We're all aware, I earlier told you about that new Omicron, which is the new variant, and we got our cases. When that story was out yesterday, now a lot of people were alarmed by it, either because they have been told to go for vaccination, and either those have been very reluctant. But with the new Omicron, we're like, oh, yesterday a lot of group, although as a flow in the vaccination centers, the cases are going to tell you more about, but people are going for vaccination because they're like, oh, this is something that we need to go on. But that is good because at least they took action.
Yes, exactly. Now, of course, 2 days ago, the Ministry of Health here in Uganda came out and said, we have discovered our first cases, which were imported from South Africa and Nigeria through the main international airport, which is Ethiopian International Airport. And, this is in relation to the Omicron variant. Now, most Ugandans, especially here in Kampala, were very reluctant about going for vaccination. And the percentage of those that are vaccinated compared to those that are not vaccinated is very, very small. And as of yesterday, we saw an increase in the numbers of people wanting to get vaccinated. Reason being, yes, the government and the Ministry of Health says, we have got a way of handling this. But at the same time, Ugandans are very, very smart guys. They're very, very smart people. Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health also always comes out and says something. Then they go like, you know what? I think I'm going to do what I want. The Ministry of Health came out and was advising people to actually go and vaccinate. People sat back and they're like, I don't think I'm going to vaccinate. Now the Ministry of Education says, you know what? We have the new Omicron, but we don't have much to worry about. And now we're seeing a surge in people wanting to get vaccinated.
No, the thing is, this is how it draws back to that proverb that says the Africans believe by seeing. We believe by seeing something physically, and if you maybe tell me, the COVID is there, not until we see an example, or when you see it physically, or when you see a live experience of somebody, that's when you react. But in case it remains in theory and you tell them please go for vaccination, not until I'll just even give it still in relation to COVID-19, when they were telling people to follow the SOPs and go for vaccination. No, in the earlier days we didn't have vaccination, but we were being told to follow the SOPs and all that. People were reluctant, they're like, COVID is not around, COVID is not real. Not until we started losing lives, people were losing
our very own.
Even the closest. If you didn't lose a close relative, at least you lost a friend. At least you lost somebody you knew. So that's when people are like, oh, this is real. And that is how we are. So that is, I would say it's a trend that is within us. What can we do?
Yeah, that's true. But we covered this story for you as very many people tried to get vaccinated here in Kampala, specifically the way approaching the KCCA vaccination centers. And we covered this story for you, and we're going to bring to you in detail with a video clip so that you can see on yourself. But yes, this is an outcry for most Ugandans. Go get vaccinated. There is no reason for you not to get vaccinated, because one way or another, this is the only way we can actually protect ourselves from, COVID, the new variants as they come in. So far we have had like 4. We expect more, because COVID is not going away anytime soon. You might be there saying, you know what, it's going to go away one way or another. It's not going away anytime soon. Reason being, it is here to stay. COVID is here to stay.
And as they're getting excited for the next year when the economy is opening, however much the president said that, hey, look, even if the target number of people who are vaccinated, they have not yet reached. But what can happen in case maybe the expected numbers increase? What do you think his actions are? But the only way we can avoid this, and we can at least do something. If you can't do something, go for vaccination. That is the only way we can also emphasize. We won't stop telling you, we won't stop calling upon you, the general public out there. If you know you're out there, you're not yet vaccinated, please go for vaccination.
Yes, but with that, let us bring to you the coverage from yesterday's event at KCCA vaccination centers. Here's a video for you.
Hundreds of people in Uganda queued outside vaccination centers in the capital Kampala on Wednesday, a day after the country confirmed its first cases of the Omicron variant of COVID-19. The virus was detected in 7 travelers from South Africa and Nigeria who arrived at Entebbe International Airport on November 29 and are currently in isolation.
Our concern is not so much like it used to be when the pandemic had just arrived in our country, because there are few cases and they are not being admitted because they are saying it's not severe like the way it used to be.
At the Kampala Capital City Authority mass vaccination site, where first-timers reported for their first jab fearing the country could return to the scenes witnessed during the second wave of the pandemic.
I didn't vaccinate from the first start, so today I decided to come. Because of the new COVID, after getting to hear the news of the new variants, I decided to vaccinate.
Unfortunately, we've even been told by reports that actually its effects are not as adverse as even the Delta variant. So I don't think there's so much cause for alarm. It is something that we can handle as long as we follow all the SOPs and get vaccinated.
Around 7.6 million doses have been administered in Uganda since the rollout began in early 2021. The confirmation of Omicron cases in Uganda means the new variant has been found in at least 9 African countries.
We had the alarm, they're like, hey, this is really, you have to go for vaccination. As you have seen in the video, not only blacks, but also not only Ugandan, but we have seen different people going in and engaging in the vaccination. But that is good. And all of you who have not yet been vaccinated, what are you waiting for? Are you waiting for the virus to strike you first? Then you'll think about going for vaccination. Even it may be too late, and we are all different people, and our bodies react differently. It may strike you and it takes you there and then. So don't take chances when it comes to life, because you have one life, and once you lose it, you can never come back. Now we're going into straight away. Yesterday I gave you a story of how the USA managed to sanction our very own General Abel Kahindu. Yeah, Kahindu. Now it comes up when he also reacted, Abel the general. He reacted, at least because the US sanctioned him, and they said that this is because he follows the human rights. And in his reaction, this is what, no, before I even go to his reaction, well, when the speech that came in from the army themselves, they say that at least they didn't consult them before they did this sanction. At least they would have talked to them, and they say how to go about this. Now yesterday also the general himself, General Abel, came in and he gave his speech, and what he thinks, he said, well, in his word, he said he doesn't care and he doesn't see the use of, it's not like he has businesses in USA, and he says it's them losing out because they're losing an ally. Well, that came in and we're like, and it's also kind of relation to what also the Emmy said.
Yeah, well, there is I don't know what to say, but there is some Yes, we have had the government of Uganda and the security forces have had a good coalition with the United States. We have not had any incidences where we have previously we got sanctions, but for different matters. But this specific one says when the US released, of course, the press said. You know what? We're sanctioning this very person because they're violating human rights by imprisoning individuals without trial, and of course they're being accused of allegedly torturing them and so much more. But
did they hear their story first?
Well, here is the thing. If a government is supposed to sanction something or from someone, they must have some substantial evidence. Now, US is a big country. It's a powerful nation. By the time it takes a step, there must be something behind that. So the full story is not out, but those are some of the little minor details that we have up to this very point. But yes, the general's response was, you know what? Even if I get sanctioned, I do not have any.
Well, he seems unbothered. Like to him, when in his response, he is not even bothered about that. Because if somebody says, I have nothing to do there, it's not like I have business. So sometimes we just go on work business, but I can even avoid them. Then he even say that it's them losing out because they're losing an ally. Well, let us watch the space, as they say, just watch the space. That is what we can't add on his words, and we just wanted to at least clarify that and bring that story and a follow-up on it. Now we go into on a sad note in Nigeria, where the passengers on a bus were burned to death. And it's say that not only the bus exceeded, like the people on the bus, there were more than 21. There were more than 21, and they were attacked on the bus and by the gunmen. And in the bus, at least there are some also children involved. And they burned to death, which is really sad. Yeah,
it is very sad. It is said that these gunmen are locally known as the bandits.
Yeah.
And they have been terrorizing the nearby villages and the commuters from those villages. They usually attack these public transporters on the highways and either assault them, kidnap the children and ask for ransom, or one way or another. But yesterday's instance happened to be in the state of Sokoto, where they attacked a commuter bus and set it ablaze, killing about 30 people. This is the reports. They say the parts that they discovered from the burnt from the ashes were about 30 people. Of course, there were some victims who escaped with injuries and were taken to hospital, and they say the instance was very, very terrifying. I can imagine how terrifying this was. You're commuting back home, and out of the blue these gunmen appear and they're like, you know what, you're not going anywhere. Yeah. Well,
this is like, say, because now if they just attack them like that, because when you drop back, there also the time when there are some children who were kidnapped still in the same country, and at least they managed to recover a few, but still some were remained in the custody of those people who had kidnapped them. Now also these are like following up on these attacks, follow them each other. Today they do this, then tomorrow they will do that. Then it's only a matter of being vigilant, like in the community, and also the security forces to take action on such cases.
That is very true. So the security forces must take action on these very instances. This has caused an uproar in Nigeria, where why is this happening, and why isn't any action being done against these individuals? Of course, in the past they have abducted children and in return asked for ransom. Some children returned, and others up to this very point are still missing. But yes, it is very sad and very, very alarming that this is happening, and we hope the forces will find one way or another of resolving it.
Yeah, that is, I can't say anymore. But now we go into Sudan. We're all aware that Sudan is not still at peace. They also have a war going between the military and also the other people in the. Now, yesterday the top general Al-Burhan warned the foreign interference into the issues that are going on. In his word, he says well, he has been seeing a lot of diplomatic envoys going around there, but he says, please don't interfere into our business. Like in his claim, he says these diplomats going around, they're trying to put out, say, malice in the people and inciting violence in the people, that at least the military forces should get out of their issues and all that. Now he says, all the people who are planning to get involved in our issues, please leave us alone, because you never know what may come against you.
Here is a very interesting thing. Of course, by the time diplomatic envoys begin involving themselves in such matters, so the matter that we're talking about is the instance that is still happening in Sudan, where the military took over the government, dissolving the civilian government and taking over control of the country and the economy. Of course, this and it followed arrests and imprisonment of several government officials from the civilian government, which was, of course, inclusive of the Prime Minister, who was reinstated a few weeks later. But this incited a lot of protests. People went onto the streets in protest of the coup, or on what was happening in the country. And this is one of the reasons why I think the diplomatic envoys are actually getting involved in this, because the protests have been ongoing for over a month. Yeah, you could hear about it now. Yesterday we were covering about one which took place yesterday, on Tuesday, where the protests went protesters went on the streets, and they're like, you know what, we do not just want the Prime Minister, we want the entire government. So you just reinstating one person does not justify that now you're a government. But yes, this is what this is specifically what they're talking about. They're like, you know what, these Democrats are coming in and they want to interfere with our business, and we're going to deal with them. But remember, it's actually the people who are bringing about this interference. But we have a story that was covered about this very instant, and the interview from the general as he gave his speech on, you know, the interference that is causing a lot of uproar within the forces themselves. Of course, they have no plans on stepping down. I'm sure they have no plans of reinstating the government. they say until 2025. That's when they will, you know, bring about. After that's when the next election is, and
that's when they'll bring about democracy. Yeah. But that means they have already taken over.
Well,
forcefully.
Yes, of course. Yes, they're the ones ruling the country for now. So, but anyways, here is a video clip for you as you watch on what was unveiling in this very instance. Please do enjoy.
Sudan's top General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan has warned against any foreign interference in the country's internal affairs during a speech after he attended the conclusion of a military exercise in the Makil area in the northern Nile River state. He said, "We are all watching the political scene and unfortunately see that a number of diplomatic envoys are circulating among citizens and are clearly trying to incite the people to turn against the armed forces in order to seize the opportunity of interfering in Sudan's affairs." Al-Burhan accused diplomatic missions of encouraging revolt against the Sudanese defense forces. He further said that this has destabilized the country, which is already in the grip of violent protests. "We warn them against this kind of behavior and tell them that we can clearly see them and will not hesitate to take actions against anyone committing violations against the security and sanctity of Sudan or against anything related to this country." Sudan's interim Prime Minister Hamdok was reinstated last month amid international pressure in a deal that calls for an independent technocratic cabinet under military oversight. The agreement included the release of government officials and political detainees.
That is what is happening in Sudan with the ongoing coup and the protests that are happening on the streets in Sudan. I hope this is resolved one way or another. But we leave Sudan and we head into Malawi, where an ex-minister was arrested. Now, this is a Minister of Finance, was also the chief administrator in one of the banks which were dealing with the IMF funds. He was arrested as of yesterday by the Malawian police on accusations that he embezzled funds. Actually, he found a way of frauding the IMF onto taking some of the funds for his own benefit.
Well, it say that he fabricated some figures on the bid, at least, and those figures, some he kept to himself. Well, to me, I would say it's not true, but the good thing is that this one was managed to be got.
Yeah,
yeah.
It is not new, especially with there are very many. There are very in Africa. There are not very many countries which are on the IMF funding. Yeah, but for those who benefit from IMF, usually take good care of the money and do something good with it. But for now, IMF is an International Monetary Fund, which is given to countries to boost their economy, to boost infrastructure, and so much more. And of course, some individuals in different countries have found a way of creating loopholes and manipulating figures so that they might get a little bit more.
Yeah, and he was not accused alone. Well, he's known as Joseph Mwanaveka, who is 57 years, and also a Reserve Bank of Malawi former governor, and also is accused alongside Dalisto Kabambe, who is 48, and these were sanctioned. They are accused, and their case is ongoing in the US. Now, in the Washington. Well, you say this is new, but I also say it's not, because this is the IMF. What do you expect? These people follow up. In case you mess up, you add up your own figures, they will follow up and they will get you, trust me.
Exactly.
But now, what about if it's not the IMF investigating? And how about these people who are even here? We have seen various people. I would just even say maybe they are purchasing, they're sourcing to funds for construction of the road and all that. They exceed, maybe it requires, I would say, I'm just giving a experience, like 80 billion. Then in the actual sense, maybe it needs like, I'm saying maybe it needs like a half of that amount.
But
where does that the rest of money go?
Most of the time, I think for the very reason why these two have been arrested is because most of the time you have to bring about accountability.
Yeah.
Now, with every money that you get, although it's a grant, although it's from IMF, you always have to bring some sort of accountability to the table, where you're going to tell me how you spent the money, where you spent the money from. So you have gotten the money for the road, yes. How much is the material for building the road? Let's say it's 2 billion, right? How much is the labor? Let's say it's 1 billion. That's only 3 billion. Where is the 5 billion? This is what brings about all of this, because one way or another, there is always accountability on the table at the end of it all.
And if you take records of whatever note or whatever amount of money you spend and what you spend it on, it always comes out clear. And also, not only that, even you may even spend it and the ability of spending, the expenditure is not seen. It may be in figures that you spend this amount of money, but they don't see physically where that money is.
Exactly.
You will still be wanted. You cannot joke with the IMF. But now that's why I say that now these are external auditors who do this. But now imagine if still they have the internal auditors, they do the auditing, but they still find no that around. You move through. That's why I've managed to see they say corruption is in Uganda, it's still existing.
Yeah, but let me just cut you short. In most instances, you have brought up something very, very interesting. Yes, auditing in most cases. Let me bring it down to like a farm.
Yeah.
Auditing is usually advised to be done externally.
Yes.
So in most instances, even the governments, their audits are done by external parties, not anyone within the same organization or within the same sector, because in that way there is a way of actually manipulating them.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Who brings upon these external auditors? Who suggests them?
Now that depends on the people handling the finances, but at the same time, let me take for example the government funds. It's not the government, it's not the ministry that actually appoints these auditors.
Yeah.
It is the entire build up. Let's say, okay, a Ministry of Education, yeah? It's not just the Ministry of Education that is going to come out and say, you know what, we want an auditor and we want this auditor. No. The Ministry of Education is going to come out, make their budget, and they will need an auditor. And the entire government is, or rather the parliament is going to submit this auditor to actually do the auditing of whatever is put in place.
Now the issue is, it's that this is why it rotates around. It's not the issue. The issue is not all about editing. We can't even get the experts of editing or whoever even maybe outside, not still within internal, as you say, the external. The problem comes in, you know, why you bring in an auditor who is external, but still when they bring in the results of what they discovered, still the results, maybe they find the person guilty, you will never see the person being convicted in court. And also there is a way the crime is held, and but also there is a way when the auditor himself, they are bribed to shut down on what they and don't think, if, let me ask you, if you know you created something and you took money somewhere and they bring in an external auditor, you will still be panicking where you are. You will try to at least find ways on how to silence that person they brought on board. That's why you will never see the results coming out. And even if the results are coming out, they come out. There are those people whom they you know what they call the untouchables. We have seen that, where they find a person guilty. Yeah, the reports say, yeah, this person took this man about this and this, but still the law does not take him in.
Yeah, but anyways, we are seeing this is I mean, one way that the IMF has managed to actually catch the frauders. This is indeed fraudery, where they manipulated the figures to keep some money for themselves.
Well, that is, we leave it to that, but now it's a lesson to everybody there, whatever office you are in. How are you using it? Well, are you going to be an example like this? Because it makes no use being in office and doing good, and out of the blue then there is one mistake you commit and it spoils the name, or it tarnishes your whole name out of the labor on what you have been offering to the country. So just, if you stay clean, just stay clean up to the end. Now we go into straight out in Ethiopia. We all know what is happening in Ethiopia. They're still also not at peace. There is the battle between the Tigray forces and also the forces that now the news coming in is, we all know that the Prime Minister was ready for war and he's like, yeah, I'm going to be the front line. But now the news coming in, he has managed to step down. He says he's back to office. He has moved away from the front line. He's now focusing on work in office.
Yeah, we brought you this story some time back where he was actually urging the citizens to take on their weapons, artillery, and help in the fight with the Tigray forces. Now, as of yesterday, he decided to step away from the front line and come back to office, where of course there was work that was pending to be done. You know, amidst all the wars, it doesn't mean the economy is not moving forward. It doesn't mean trade is not moving forward. It doesn't mean the country is still moving forward. So yes, he stepped back into office, away from the front line, to come and take care of the country's needs in the bits of economy and trade.
And in relation to that, he didn't just step back. The issue is, he said, well, the news, they tweeted the office of the Prime Minister, when they went on the Twitter, they tweeted and said, yeah, he's momentarily back to office following the successful completion of the first phase of operation for the national unity in diversity. Well, it's not like he just stepped down or he gave up. No, it's because they say the first phase was successful, so let him go back and sit, as we earlier said, to carry out the national duties in office, and they see how the things go on. Now we are going into a short commercial break. Coming out, don't go away. You have more stuffs coming up. You have that segment of the trending stories for all of you out there waiting for it. Just sit down. Let us come back.
Obadde okimanyi nti abantu bawooma? Waawo, kituufu abantu bawooma, naye abasajja bawooma. Wabula ate waliwo abasajja abasinga bannaabwe okuwooma. Wenna n'owulira n'ogamba nti Losubwa abasajja 15 abasinga okuwoma mu nsi yonna. Kiki ekibafuula abawoomu? Ani yabalonze era bategedde batya nti bawooma? Ebyo byonna birindirire wano ku UTC Media, the first web broadcasting television in Africa. Kuva ng'ennaku z'omwezi 5 paka ennaku z'omwezi 10 December.
Yo, what's up, my fellow youths? I'm here to introduce to you the Youths Media. This is a media organization that was put in place for us who don't have time. We're always at work, always at school. There's no time for TV. We don't have time to do whatever thing. But the programs which are there to cover us as the youth. And we trust me, we are going higher with the Youths Media. It's on my social media, on my phone, and everything. It is going to be great and everything. Bye-bye to television, bye-bye to monthly subscription. This is the new move. It's the Youth Media.
Hello everyone, my name is Shajaba Bidye. I'm a youth and this is the Youth Media. You can easily access this platform. You only need to have data. It's available everywhere from any country you're in, anywhere.
Yes, my name is Semakula Ian and I do graphics. I'm a graphics designer, straight out Ian King Graphics. Yes, in my free time, I don't need decoders, I don't need antennas, subscription, monthly subscription. I tune to UTC Media. Just go on your phone. You only need data and a phone which accesses the internet. That's all, and you tune to UTC Media anywhere, everywhere you go. Yes. Thanks to UTC Media for this pleasure that anywhere we are, we can tune to the TV and view. Thank you.
The World by Africa is brought to you by the Fundamental Merits and Protection, who say rights matter and they're there to protect them for you. Where are you watching us from? Please engage in the discussion and share some of your comments. We can always read them on air. Please don't forget to also share that link for others to follow us and join us. And you can also get on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. We still use Youth Media. For those who are asking, where can we get it apart from maybe Facebook? No, we have given you. Just type in Youth Media, you'll get us live here. And still, in this session, we bring you the trending story. The trending story is although some of those stories that happen on the FB, Facebook, Twitter, all that. Now we just bring them. You just have to stay tuned and sit back. We also have the trailer, the movie lovers, especially now when you're going into the festive season. There are those trailers that you need to at least sit down and enjoy as a family. We cannot get that anywhere but apart from here on Behold Africa. Well, I go straight away into our trending story that has happened. It has been trending the whole of this week, but even I would say last week when it happened. Well, we all know that the new couple or the new wedded couple that is happening, that is rocking, the Pastor Bujingo and also the wife Makula, Susan Makula. Now we all know this. They had the introduction yesterday on Tuesday, and it went on successfully. It was nice, and the decoration went on well. The ceremony went on all well. But now the rumors, we have seeing a lot of issues and a lot of word from the ex-wife, who is known as the Susan Notedi Nasulaya. But now I don't want to call her the ex-wife, because in the law she says they're still legally married. Yes. Yeah, the court has not granted them bail, so I would say she's still legally. They're still legally married. It's still that's why they call the pastor. He's called Haji. So another, because however much she went in and introduced the wife Susan Makula, but still they're still married with the ex-wife, and they have not given her the divorce is not yet granted up to now. And even up to now, he said, "I'm not giving you the divorce." Now yesterday, as usual, we are not surprised by this gentleman who is known as Mabilizi. Well, Mabilizi came in, the lawyer Mabilizi came in and dragged them to court. And we all know Mabilizi is not the first time he's doing this. Mabilizi known as, I'll give you a story about him. But now, Jude, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I kept on telling you about this very story here.
Yeah.
That it's not going to end now.
Mhm.
It's going to be a long back and forth kind of thing. Because yesterday we were covering the introduction, and Brenda tried to break it down for me between the introduction and the first Kuchala, which is visitation to the parents. But yes, I said, you know, her name is the not ex-wife.
The current one.
No, not. That's why I said not ex-wife. Yeah.
The ex-wife.
She's not ex-wife because they're not legally divorced. Yeah. Now.
Okay, the wife in quotes.
Well, now the
Teddy
current wife is a different person. So.
Who?
but this is what I was saying. Yeah. She has not consented to the divorce.
Okay. And
I have been giving my opinion about this very topic from the very beginning, where the first wife has not consented to divorce, and I kept on saying, you know what, divorce comes from two parties, not one party. One party might want divorce and the other party does not want divorce. You must sit down, come to an agreement on what to do before you can move on. Now, in this very instance, with what Bujingo is being dragged to court for this very instance, where he is married to a second wife, yet not divorced by the first, and this is going to tarnish his name. Yeah, it has already started tarnishing his name here and there. But at the same time, you know, I look at the first wife and I'm like, okay, why are you going through all of this stress?
well, as you're seeing on your screens, that's the document that is happening, and that's how the statement is. I would say the issue also, before I even go, I don't want to talk much about, because I told you, well, I'm happy about them getting married. People can say anything, but the issue sometimes it's not even about the ceremony, but sometimes you may want somebody, but if they don't love you back, you can never tie yourself on them. You just have to give them the freedom they need and leave them to do whatever they want. Now, and don't be held back just by a ring or by maybe an agreement that you made, but it goes back to what your heart wants, and also what their person, are they willing to be with you? Because it makes no use being with a person, at the end of the day you wake up, maybe they've done something on you, they've created harm on you because you forcefully wanted them back. Now, the issue is here is the person who filed the lawsuit. Now, this is known as Malema Bilizi. Malema Bilizi is not new into news, because you have seen him doing various cases, going on and filing various cases on various people. First of all, he filed a case against the Kabaka of Uganda. Well, that came in as a shock, and people are like, who does that?
He even did one for the government. Actually.
Yeah, he did. No, not David. He said, yeah, for the government, but also the president himself. He filed a case against him. And not only President Museveni, but also he filed a case against His Excellency Bobby Wine, known as the ghetto president, and also known as the president of No Party. Now, this is not new, because he is known as a person who will file a case against anybody. He's not limited. Now, when they said he has filed a case against Susan and Bujingo, I was not surprised, though. I was like, what can we expect out of him?
But yes, this story here, as I've said, it's not going to end now. It's it has a long story to it. It has a lot of history upon it, and it's not ending now. But we still cover some of these things, and we bring to you all the juices that are involved. But just to say something small about this, she's called Teddy.
Who?
The first wife.
The first wife, yeah. The first wife is known as Teddy Nusura.
No, Teddy should just let go of this whole instance and start forging a path to move on to the next best thing.
Team no divorce.
No. I said she should move on.
Okay.
Not team no divorce. Quote me right. Yeah. I do not support divorce. I do not support whatnot. But once someone has made up his mind, I'm seeing already he's in the process of actually locking down the second wife. There is no reason to actually keep on dragging this any further. Well,
the reason I'm saying Team No, their area or their group is known as Team No Divorce. That's why I'm saying you're sending the message to Team No Divorce. But now issue is, how much you're telling them, because we all know these people were married for the past 29 years. Yeah, they two. He's with the husband, Pastor Bujingo, and also Teddy. They were married 29 years. not until the prayer that they filed a case in court at Kajansi Magistrate Court against the House of Prayer Ministry. They filed a case in the Kajansi Magistrate Court against his wife Teddy Nusura, seeking dissolution of their 29 marriage in 2019, but up to now it was not yet, the divorce was not yet granted. That's why we are seeing Malema is coming in. How come they went ahead with the introduction or with the marriage ceremonies, yet their divorce is not yet approved? Yes. We'll leave it to them. We are going to see how it goes, because from all the parties, everybody is standing on their grounds. They do what they want, and they're like, hey, this is what I want, and I'll go ahead to do. So because they're also planning, they're also planning a wedding come next year, the early month in the next year. So what can we say?
But anyways, we shall see how this unveils. But we leave Uganda and go a little bit to the US. Yesterday we brought to you a story about a boss who fired over 900 employees via Zoom with they claim that the company was having financial difficulties and had to lay off a number of people. His ethical ways of laying off the workers is what got him on the I would like to call it a hot seat.
Yeah.
But yes, as of yesterday, he came out and apologized for all the damages that are done. But I say an apology is not enough.
An apology is not
enough.
An apology will not bring food to those people. It will not bring back the pain you caused them. At least let other apology be seen. Physical, intangible things. Maybe you are giving them a refund of some amount, of a month before. Yeah, at least something you can do it financially.
Exactly. One way or another, there should be some sort of compensation for emotional damage. Yeah, and so much more. Because if you're to recap, please go to yesterday's show and rewatch. For those of you who do not know what we're talking about, just go to YouTube, type in Youths Media, and you'll find Behold Africa for yesterday and play back. This is why we bring to you some of these stories, so that you follow up here and there. If you have not subscribed to YouTube or you have not yet started watching, please do go on YouTube, type in Youths Media, and you will be able to see Behold Africa. Just hit the notification icon, the bell icon, to be notified every time we go live, because you will be missing out. Now you might even be lost what we're talking about, but yes, just go back to yesterday's video and rewatch it. But yes, he fired them via Zoom, and it was on very, very short notice. You're invited for a Zoom call, you're invited for a Zoom meeting, and only to reach there and they tell you, you know what, hey, you can't work here anymore. And that is why he was on fire, and that's why he was lit up. But he came out with an apology. But what we're saying is, an apology is not enough. He should do more. His company should do more to find a way of trying to compensate the individuals that were fired. Of course, the numbers are large, but the company is also big and it's doing well, so they should be able to compensate them one way or another. Anyways, leaving that story, we are coming to an end of this very segment. The show is still going on, so don't go anywhere. We still have a lot of content for you. But in the trending stories, we usually end it with a trailer, a very, very beautiful trailer. Now, it's a Thursday morning. I want you to enjoy the rest of your week. The week ends tomorrow, which is going to be a Friday. As you enter the weekend, I want you to enter it in a very, very good mood, a very jolly mood. For that case, I bring to you an animation that you can watch with you and your family, your little ones, your siblings, your sister, your nephew, and so many others. Today's trailer is called Whitesnake 2. Every time I say 2, I mean there is 1. So if you have not watched Whitesnake 1, please do go and watch, so that you can come up to speed, so that you can watch Whitesnake 2. But here is a trailer for Whitesnake 2. Just a reminder, it is not in English, but when it comes out, it will be dubbed. So yes, do enjoy the music and the pictures for those of us who do not understand Chinese. But yes, do enjoy the trailer. Here is the trailer for Whitesnake.
这修罗城究竟是个什么所在？
万一超市的老板，他最清楚。
哟，又来客人了，随我来。你们不
不入轮回，堕入这座城，因为你们心中有太强的执念。
是，我不甘心。
姐姐，
一入无池，一切皆空。这无池妙。
这些结是什么？
结起结落，就是这修罗城的一呼一吸。
不管这修罗城什么样，我都要逃出去。我要去救我姐姐。
天之道，有所得，必有所失。要离开修罗城，你给得了我想要的？你我的生意考虑的如何了
？That was the trailer for White Snake. I hope you wait for the movie as it comes out and we shall enjoy it together here on Youths Media. Keep in mind we are still on Behold Africa. We're going to a short break. When we get back, we dive into the top world stories. There's still a lot more, so I don't want you to go anywhere. Keep your data on. Don't go anywhere. Let's get back from a short break.
By names of Gita William, engeri gye tuli mu COVID, like tetusobola ku accessing amasomero ade like bataddewo ekitongole website yaffe eya UTC Media nga tukubiriza abazadde bafundika like abaana baabwe basobola tufollowinga ku platform zaffe nga like Twitter, Facebook, IG, developinga minds zaabwe various technical activities such as abaana basobola oyiga website designing, graphic designing n'ebirala nga tebagenze kusomero naye nga baliyigidde waka. So tukubiriza abazadde bagulire abaana baabwe data bagezeeko okola subscribinga n'okufollowinga UTC Media bajja laba nga abaana bafunye ekintu.
My name is Bukenya Rocky and my dream is to become a physical engineer. So I follow Youths Media in order to pursue my dream. I would encourage you to follow Youths Media on Facebook, Google, Twitter in order to pursue also your dreams.
Njeko wasewo ne waliyawo amannya gange itibwa Mugisha nga nsimukira nga ndi muyizi okuva ekitangaala high school. Ndi wano okubategeeza nti nze nandyagadde okubeera modo oba kazanyiriza oba actor ajjudde. Era ndi wano okubategeeza nti olwa corona twajjiddewo ebintu bingi, tubumbiddwa ebintu bingi nga for example TV bakali bwe tuli abaana bangi ffenna tugikozesa tetusobola laba kye twagala at the same time kadi for example nze ndi abamodo baganda bange bagala kyawe kati sawo tubeera tugala kulwanira TV kyeneebaza kinjawo bagamba nti olwa Youths Media omutimbagano omupya batukoleddeyo Youths Media tukoleddeyo website yaffe empya etusobola okugamu kyetwetaaga. So nandyagadde baganda bange abalala kati nganze ngenda nengoyera ku yamodo benjagala n'ebirala ebintu bye nandyagadde okulaba. Era namwe mbakubiriza mugende namwe mugende mu Youths Media musobole okulaba kye mwagala ate ekisinga nabo ya ku masimu gammwe ku laptop byonna alina gadgeti ze mulina.
appreciate those who even after the break, even when you go in the break, you just sit back and you're like, I'm waiting for Behold Africa when they come back. Well, in this new segment, we call it the Top World Stories. Those stories that happen all over the world. Stories that you missed out and you didn't know about them. You only get them only here in this segment, known as the Top World Stories. Now, don't forget your syllable. How Africa is brought to you by the Fundamental Rights and Protection, who say rights matter and they're there to protect them for you. Well, we go straight away. We first begin in Nigeria, where there is a story that has been running up of a student who lost their life. Well, this was, the person was known as Sylvester Oromon, and this happened in Nigeria in one of the schools known as the Downey College, and this student lost their life, but this was, they say it was a result of bullying. But the students didn't take it lightly. They came in and they made the strike. The women students came in and they made the strike. They protested against it, and they said at least the university or the school college should do something about it. But now, up to now, I would say it's still ongoing.
Yes. What is causing the uproar and the upset from these individuals is that the school says the child left on 30th, had a football match, and then he sustained some injuries from the matches, later passing on his 12th birthday, passing on, and they still say it was from the football injuries. Now, the parents of the child, whose name is Sylvester, specifically his dad, came out and said, when he had a one-on-one talk with his son, the son told him, you know what, I was actually beaten up by someone at school. So this is a case of bullying. Yeah. I was sleeping on my bed, and then someone, I didn't even participate in football that day. So I wasn't playing football. But the school insists that the child was playing football when he sustained these injuries. And this is what is causing the uproar. This is what is causing because there's a lot of controversy between the stories that are coming out from the school's end and what the parents know. And yes, several parents and female students took on the stand to protest against the school for some sort of justice. Yeah, they want justice for this individual and his family, and for whoever is in that school at large. Now, just to take into consideration, this school was closed down following this very instance, but the parents say, and the female students in the school say, they're not going to settle until the parents are actually given some sort of compensation or the justice of this child who lost his life at the age of 12. A very, very tender age, by the way, is some sort of justice is brought upon them. We have a video clip about this very coverage as the events unfolded, and it is very sad that this young man lost his life at a very tender age.
Why would the school come in and say? Because I believe a 12-year-old boy knows they can speak what they saw and they know what happened.
Yeah,
they narrate all the story, but why would the school cover up in case it happened? If the story is that the boy was bullied, why would they say otherwise?
Let's try to uncover that story after watching the video with us. Here is a video clip for us.
Yes, the Dawen College in Lagos has been closed, but the school will not be allowed to enjoy the silence of empty classrooms as these women hold a protest to express their grief over the death of late Sylvester Oromoni, who lost his life after allegedly being bullied by a senior student.
We are here for Sylvester. It's as simple as that. He must get justice. We are here for him. We are also here for all the other children. Don Davis' case is still there. Karen is still there.
As a mother of a boy, and as a woman as well, wanting to see a fellow mother get justice for her son. So we're out here to support and rally around and also create the awareness so people know what's going on. We've all been following the story, but it's not good enough to just listen at home and talk about it at home.
We want justice for Sylvester. We are also surprised to know that parents of Dawen College pupils will allow their children, go online for classes when this is happening.
One of the protesters, Adebimpe Adebambo, frowned against the narrative by the school that Sylvester died as a result of injuries whilst playing football.
I came here to light a candle and pray and also make more inquiries. I knocked on the school gate. Somebody came out and then I told him, I'm like, how irresponsible is it of your school to still be lying, to say this is what happened?
Sylvester, a junior secondary school 2 student, died under controversial circumstances on November 30, days before his 12th birthday.
And yes, that is what is happening in Nigeria around this very case, and as it unfolds, we are going to still be covering whatever goes on here and there. Now, Brenda previously asked the question, why would the school cover up, instead of saying it was bullying, they say it was playing soccer. There could be two stories. Of course, with every story there could be, two sides. Now, the school says it was soccer, the parents say it was bullying. Who to believe, is not known because the child already lost their life. Now, what to look for is actually finding, a ground where, if it's a case of bullying, most schools just advise you on, there's no bullying allowed, but every time there is some sort of bullying instance, they cover it up here and there. But there should be put strict measures on those who bully others. I've seen this in some schools where if you bully your friend, they're not going to expel you, they're not going to suspend you. Simply finding your parents. Yeah? that is as good as it goes, and it's going to be a hefty fine.
Well, as you're saying that as they're fining the parents, but still, because when you talk about bullying, sometimes it's also the child's act. There's those children who are very stubborn. However much you put strict laws as a school, and now the impact goes back to the parent. If you're going to that's why some children are being changed from one school to another because of those actions. But now my question is, if in case it's true the child was bullied and the instance where he succumbed,
that might not be the case. They just might be protected. If it turns out to be a case that their child was actually bullied, it just might be the school is trying to cover their own end, where of course bullying is not allowed, but if it's going on, then there are question marks to the school's competence.
Well, anyway, it goes back to also the school authorities and everybody involved, because even if it was a match, as they say, a football match, that they, at least, because if you look at the child, they're only 12 years, there is somebody who is there to look on, maybe the coach, but also there should be at least somebody to help out in case things go wrong, also our immediate help and all that. Now we got straight away into the Ukraine, the Russia. Although there is something that has been ongoing that is also covering our news all over this week and from last week. We all know when the Russian community, the Russian army went in and they deployed their troops on the borders of Ukraine, and we say this was it was an alarm calling for everybody that are these people getting prepared for a war or what's happening? Well, we told you how the USA President Joe Biden and President of Russia Putin were preparing to meet, and yesterday finally they had a video meeting and they talked about various things, and the first thing was, first of all, they were looking at the main issue is the instance of deploying troops on the borders. Well, first of all, Joe Biden warned Putin on the strong measures that they put on the Ukraine, especially the border and their invasion, where the Ukraine feared that Putin, they are going to invade or they are going to attack them. But now, in relation to that, Putin said he accused actually the Ukraine for provoking and thought guarantee against the eastward NATO expansion and deployment of weak point close to Russia. Well, as you have said, for him, they say it's all about out of defense and reacted out of what they saw the other people there. They are, of course, they sent in signals that are provocative, and they just sent in troops to just protect their border. In case something goes wrong, then they can also act.
Yes, that is true. But also Biden went ahead and said, you know what, if you actually go ahead and invade Ukraine, of course, we were suspecting this, that he said, you know what, for us we shall ally with Ukraine, and we shall, you know, also retaliate with the Ukrainians. And, you know, this is a very interesting instance where two nations although it was not a physical meeting, it was via a video call, but you know, it brought about some sort of well, for Putin, he says, well, this has not resolved anything, yeah, for the meantime. My troops will still be there, but at least, you know, Biden can still come out at one point and we can still continue talking about this. I don't have a problem about it, but I'm still going to keep on doing what I want.
Well, that is, because when you look at the troops they deployed over 90,000 troops. That is a lot. Just on one, just to protect all, to be there on alert in case anything. That is so alarming that we leave it to that. And we all, as you said when, I'll also ask it, when have they even been in good terms with the US? Because both countries believe they're superior.
Well, they are both superior, but when it comes to international relations, Russia and US actually have a good working relation. Maybe not in terms of weaponry and so much more, but when it comes to sanctions and good relations, they're actually okay. Otherwise, they will not be working together, or they will not even be having these sort of conversations. You know, there are countries which just shut down everyone. They shut out everyone. I'll give you an example of North Korea. For them, they don't want to deal with anyone. They say it's our business. We do what we want. So even there are very, very few presidents that have actually met up or even had meetings with Korea's president. Yeah. So it shows you that, you know, Russia does, you know, this and that. US does this and that, but they still have a reasoning capacity. At least the president has the decency to actually meet, although it was via a video call, but the video call was over 2 hours. You know, 2 hours of a video call is a very long time. And yeah, he sat there and talked with Biden with whatever he had to talk about.
Well, we go into another news still that say, well, we are seeing the lady known as Alguera Stratton, who resigned after the number 10 Christmas party video she made. Well, this has been ongoing, whereby she was forced to resign on her position because of the video she made, joking around the rules, all the terms on COVID-19 and all that. Well, this circulated all over the news, but I think she saw that what she did was wrong, and she said, why not? I have to resign. Yes,
this was of course with the ongoing COP 2026 summit that happened about a month ago, and during this summit, a lot was spoken about. But with one of the interactions with this lady, one of Britain's spokesman, she made a joke when she was asked a question about a meeting that a sit down they had with several other delegates. And she said, you know, first we had this sitting, but there were no SOPs that were followed. We're going to play for you this specific video as they interacted, and the joke that she made that led up to her resignation or her stand down for the position of spokesman. Now, keep in mind, of course, we're still in COVID. Yeah, these are our leaders.
Yeah,
yeah.
We look up to them.
Yes, we look up to them, and at the same time, you know, the rules come from, you know, there's a chain of command. The rules come from somewhere and then they are passed on. Now, the SOPs, of course, that we're supposed to follow, we're having social distancing, we're having wearing a mask, and so much more. And this is advised by every single government out there. Now, if the government officials themselves are not following the SOPs, they're not following this and that. And this is the reason she gave she gave her resignation speech, which she read out on her own. But before she read the resignation speech, let us play for you the video that led up to this very instance. Here is a video as she made that joke.
Some question of it. There was a Downing Street Christmas party on Friday night. Do you recognise those reports?
I went home. Hold on.
Would the Prime Minister condone having a Christmas?
What's the answer?
I don't know.
It wasn't a party, it was cheese and wine. Just be clear, it's not. Is cheese and wine all right? No. It's a business meeting. I'm joking. It is recorded. This fictional party was a business meeting. and it was not socially distanced. One more, and then ask anybody have any questions today.
Can you stop? I'm going to make a statement.
That is how
have
that
made
happened.
immense sacrifices in the
And
ongoing battle
after that,
against
of course, there was a
COVID-19.
lot of criticism
I
from
now fear
both
that
the
my
government
comments in the
and
leaked video
the citizens of
December
Britain.
last year
And this
have become a
has
distraction in
led
that fight.
to the resignation.
My
But
remarks
it comes to show you, there is always that those tight rules. If you break a rule, there are consequences that you're going to.
Well, she did it as an individual. Of course, they didn't tell her to resign. However much they could have confronted her and took her, but still, it's an individual text. Not everybody can resign. Trust me. Not everybody. We have some people who are arrogant, arrogant leaders who they make a mistake and you tell them, hey, you are not, as a leader, that is not what we expect out of you. Please, at least mean what you said. Try to bring it back and phrase it in a way that can, because people look upon you. Now, if you just say anything, of course people take what you say. Now, there are those who even don't care. They are like, no, I just said what I had to say, and they don't even care, not even looking at the impact of what the message they portrayed out to the public. So in case she came out and resigned, and she's sorry for what she said, and that is good, but still it sends a message people out there, please be mindful of what you say, even if there are jokes. We're in the period of however much you're joking about COVID-19, but still we don't have to go overboard. That is true. But yes, as she made this as she read out her resignation statement, she was very, very, I would say very, very sad, because she was crying the entire time, sobbing the entire time. It was because I think there is a lot of pressure she faced. Yes, from the public. Now, we leave it to that, and it's a message out there to the leaders and everybody in the upper hand. Be mindful what you say to the public or what you spread out. The message, it holds a lot of water. It may create violence. It may even lead to the spread of this COVID-19. You never know. Now we go into our news. We have yesterday gave you a story of how the US stepped down when they boycotted the upcoming Olympic game that is going to happen in Beijing. Not only them. Now we are having Australia and also Canada. They're also doing the same. They're joining the league. They're boycotting the Democratic of Beijing, the Olympic champion that is going to happen in Beijing. Yes. Well, this follows yesterday's instance where the US stepped away from the boycotted the Olympics, the Winter Olympics, which are supposed to take place in Beijing. We're going to share some few pictures for you about these Olympics, and I think there are about 59 days left to go to the start of these Olympic Games, the Winter Olympics. Now, the US said we're not going to send any official representatives to the Beijing Winter Olympics 2022, but because of the reasons that they are human rights violation and this and that. China responded and they gave their statement, but at the same time Australia and Canada have also come on board, and they're like, you know what, we are not going to send any official representatives to this event because of the same reason like what US gave, which is the human rights violation. And this follows, of course, the previous Olympics where Ping went missing for a number of days. Actually, it was almost a month. And when she resurfaced, she said she accused one of China's top officials of sexual harassment. Now, I think this is a very good stand. It brings out unity. But now, in relation to what yesterday, what they reacted to USA, they say this is related to politics. They first of all, they say even if they don't come, the Olympic Games have to go on, or they have to continue. But now the issue is, in case you continue, they should react on the allegation and find ways on how to deal with them. Because imagine if all the countries start boycotting. This is one by one. Because this is like an example. You never know, tomorrow another country may arise, and by the end of the day, you'll start hosting the Olympics by your own self. And yet we all know the Olympic Games is held for the people and country, for the world at large. Now, if a country moves out, another moves out, they should just find a way on how to bring them down, and they say maybe they're going to work upon it. but not just responding in that way and how they responded to the US.
But yes, here let us play for you some of the videos for both Australia and Canada as they release their statements for not sending any official representatives to the Olympics game in the Winter Olympics in Beijing. Here are the two videos for these two countries.
We will not be sending any diplomatic representation to the Beijing Olympic Paralympic Games this winter.
Canada is hoping to send a message to China while still sending its athletes to the Olympics. The move mirrors the diplomatic boycott already announced by allies like the US, UK, and Australia.
If we are concerned about, in fact, the erosion going on around the world on democracy and the rise of authoritarian regime, I think we have to take a stand.
That stand follows China's lengthy record of human rights violations, particularly for the treatment of the Uyghur Muslim minority. Advocates say it's a good first step, but it doesn't go far enough.
I wish Canada and other right-minded countries around the world should do whatever is necessary to full boycott.
Now, Trudeau says that isn't in the cards. Canadian athletes were last kept home from the 1980 Moscow Games as a protest of Russia's invasion of Afghanistan. And this time, Olympians say the decision should be left to the athletes.
To rob our own athletes of their own voice and their own decision-making while we're trying to promote someone else's human rights, it just doesn't make sense.
China has threatened the U.S. will pay for its boycott. Trudeau wouldn't say if he fears any fallout, but the Minister of Sport did say security will be beefed up for athletes.
There's already agents that have been hired to ensure the security of the athletes, and we're still in discussion with the RCMP.
The IOC has remained on the sidelines of any political debate, citing historical precedents.
Could be the end of the Olympic Games as it was the end of the ancient Olympic Games when politics got involved.
Foreign Affairs Minister Melanie Joly says she'll continue to raise the diplomatic boycott with G7 counterparts in the coming days, in the hopes that more countries join Canada and other allies to send a strong signal to China. Donna?
Any official representatives to the forthcoming Winter Games in China. For some time, people have been very aware that we have been raising a number of issues that have not been received well in China, and there's been a disagreement between us on those matters. We have always been open to meet with the Chinese government to talk about their concerns, whether it's their concerns with our foreign interference legislation or other foreign investment rules, where Australia takes a very strong stand, standing up for Australia's interests. They've been very critical of Australia in our efforts to ensure that we have a strong national defence force, particularly in relation, most recently, to our decision to acquire nuclear-powered submarines. But of course the human rights abuses in Xinjiang and the many other issues that Australia has consistently raised. We have been very pleased and very happy to talk to the Chinese government about these issues, and there's been no obstacle to that occurring on our side. But the Chinese government has consistently not accepted those opportunities.
In the sports section, we leave Olympics and dive into some of the football matches that happened yesterday. The other Champions League resumed this week, and several teams played on 7th, and others played as of yesterday. Matches that we all looked forward to was matches like for Juventus, Bayern, Chelsea, and Man United. Yesterday's matches between Chelsea and Zenit, they went for a draw, 3-3. So yeah, Chelsea drew with Zenit. Juventus went against Malmo, and Juventus managed to beat them 1-0. Benfica went against Dynamo Kyiv, and they managed to beat Dynamo Kyiv 2-0. Wolfsburg went against Lille, and Lille managed to beat them 3-1. RB Salzburg went against Sevilla, and Salzburg managed to beat Sevilla 1-0. Now, a match that we were all looking forward to very much was between Man United and Young Boys. They managed to draw with a 1-1. Bayern Munich went against Barcelona. This was a very much anticipated game also, and Bayern Munich thrashed Barcelona a whole 3-0. And Zlatka went against Villarreal, and this is actually going to happen today. Atlanta and Villarreal, they are playing today at 2100 East African time. But yes, Barcelona has been relegated to Europa as of now because of the thrashing that they received from Bayern Munich of 3-0 as of yesterday. Now, you know,
well, as you are, my attention go to these people, the Barcelona team being hit 3-0. What happened to the team?
Well, keep in mind, Barcelona no longer has their superstar. It is still a great team, a very, very great team, but one of their greatest players, who is Messi, is no longer with them.
So he was the outstanding, he was the head,
not necessarily the head, but you know, we have seen Messi now playing in PSG, and PSG has been shining, although they have lost a few matches, but we have seen them shining. Barcelona has also played a number of matches, and they have not done very well. So yeah, this gives you a picture on how a certain player actually influences the team.
Okay, so he played a big role, and ever since he left, this is what they're facing too.
Exactly.
Okay, now how about the team you're waiting for, the match you're waiting for, the one you listed?
Yes, that was of Man U. They drew.
Were you disappointed?
Not really. I'm not a Man U. Disclaimer: I'm not a Man U fan. So
you are what?
I'm a Man City fan. So
okay.
Yeah, I mean, I tell you straight, I'm a Man City fan, and that's my team. But yeah, for us, we lost one match, we won others. So
what do the Man U fans have to say to this?
We shall have to ask the Man U fans, because I'm not a Man U fan, so I can't speak for them. But yes, this marks the end of the end of our show, which is Behold Africa. Just a reminder, Behold Africa goes on from Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. So don't get those excuses of, hey, I woke up late, and you can rewatch it only if you do subscribe on YouTube, or you can watch it live on Facebook, or even have a playback on any of these channels. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. If you have not turned on the notification icon, hit the bell icon to receive notifications every time we go live. Otherwise, you will be missing out on some of these juicy stories. Now,
and those who have not even shared the link, please don't be selfish. Try to share the link for others to get up on the show. Not only on this show, Behold Africa. On News Media, you have various shows that go on. You have Mariamia, we have the campus, those campusers, you know, campus live, those who want what's happening, that's it. But also you have the health, what is happening in the health for the health clinic. We also have the youth sport, you have sports news bringing YouTube. And that marks the end of our show. But before we end the show, we have the African Proverb. But I would like to remind you, those who are looking for window, maybe you're constructing those, you're looking for windows, you're looking for roller shutters, don't go anywhere. The God's Grace Metalworks, they're saying they have the best quality metalworks, they have the best water drillers, they have the roller shutters, they have everything that is related to metal fabrication. You can get them on Bokassa Sentema Road, on their number, which is 07813159998, and other line, which is 07593772206. And those, I would like also to remind those who want computer literacy training services, you can go to Mloza Computer Training Center. They are located on Luwelo Mabanda, and their number is 07707-07536. Well, straight away we always make this show, and we end it with something that is interesting and something for you to learn, which is called as the African Proverb that you don't need to miss.
Yes, and your African Proverb is read to you by me, and today's African Proverb, we're going to dive right into it. Today's African Proverb says, the iguana puffs itself out to make itself a man. Now, some of these African proverbs might be confusing, but that's why we also bring to you their translation. Now, what does this very African proverb mean? Its meaning is, some people show off to seem more important than they are, or some iguanas are more important than some people. You know? Yeah, this is very true.
I
Yeah.
like that terminology, iguanas.
Yeah, some people show off to seem more important than they are. We haven't seen this in very many instances.
This happens in daily life.
Yeah, this is daily life, and it's true. You know, someone is not as important as they seem, but they will put up a certain portfolio for you to actually perceive them to be in that category, and yet they are not.
No, but sometimes I don't want to blame people, because sometimes you are seen like on the front, but people are not recognizing. What do?
You bring yourself to the front.
Yeah, even we are seeing
by putting up a fake portfolio.
No, but you are seeing all those. You have our celebrities there who create even stunts. At least maybe if they're sidelining, or maybe if their music is silent and they're not yet more in the limelight because of the music, they will always create that stunt that you can talk about, and you're like, oh, how this celebrities existing are there, because you want to remain in the limelight. So but what you can tell them as you're doing, so let it not get to you. Do what you don't have to go extreme as you're doing it, and try not to lose yourself in the process. Be you, whatever you're doing. That is very true. But yes, with this, it marks the end of this show. It marks the end of Behold Africa. We appreciate you for staying with us for as long as you have, up to this very point from the very start. For those of you who have been watching us from the very beginning when Behold Africa went online, very soon we're going to be celebrating 2 months. So yes, we look forward to that day. But for now, it marks the end of this show. As I had promised you earlier, China responded to the boycotting from several big countries like US, Australia and Canada. We're going to be playing that video for you as we log off. But yes, thank you for being here. I have been your host, Jude Lane, and my co-host, Nabsha Brenda. I appreciate you very much. Hope to see you tomorrow, 7 a.m. sharp. See you.
Obadde okimanyi nti abantu bawooma? Waawo, kituufu abantu bawooma, naye abasajja bawooma. Wabula ate waliwo abasajja abasinga bannaabwe okuwooma. Wenna n'owulira n'ogamba nti tosubwa abasajja 15 abasinga okuwooma mu nsi yonna. Kiki ekibafuula abawoomu? Ani abalonze era bategedde batya nti bawooma? Ebyo byonna birindirire wano ku UTC Media, the first web broadcasting television in Africa. Kuva ng'ennaku z'omwezi 5 paka ennaku z'omwezi 10 December.
By names of Gita William, engeri gye tuli mu COVID